Belarus President, meanwhile, Lukashenko, confirmed, the leader of the Wagner Group, that attempted a failed coup in Russia last weekend is now in Belarus. Authorities in Moscow said yesterday that they will not press armed rebellion charges against him or his followers. Meanwhile, the U.S. is announcing new sanctions on the Wagner Group, targeting their gold and diamond operations in an attempt to cut their funding after sending thousands of troops to fight in Ukraine. Joining me now is retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel and Senior Fellow and Military Expert for Defense Priorities, Daniel Davis. Great to see you, Lieutenant. Thanks very much for being here this morning.
Thanks for having me.
So
Good to see you again.
How would you assess all of this, the U.S.'s reaction to the Wagner Group after the coup attempt?
Well, you know, actually, it wasn't so much a coup attempt as it was a power play within Russia. Prigozhin was actually pretty clear, even in the height of all of this madness that was going on, and has been since, saying that this was never about trying to replace Vladimir Putin, but trying to replace the Minister of Defense and the Senior General of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, of Russia, because he felt that they were doing a terrible job generally, but also that they were undercutting his units, especially in their fight against Bakhmut. And he took a lot of that personal because he claimed that they had lost a lot of troops. In the aftermath of this, we see that Russia has recognized how powerful and useful the Wagner Group is in their fight. So they have basically banished him to Belarus. But now then, Belarus has opened up, and actually just this morning, I saw the news just before we came on, that their parliament has approved the opening of training camps in Belarus. And yesterday, Lukashenko said that he's excited to have the Wagner people there so that they can train his forces and expand them in their combat. So it looks like they're trying to move them out of the way so that they don't risk going into Moscow, but they still want to use them in the fight potentially against Ukraine.
Well, a lot of people were saying that this clearly shows a weaker Putin. Do you agree with that? And then I want to ask you about China, because the Biden administration is reportedly considering new restrictions on exports of AI chips to China. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that the Commerce Department could impose these new rules as early as next month, which would restrict chip makers from shipping products to China without obtaining a license first. A bipartisan congressional delegation led by House Armed Services Committee Chairman Mike Rogers is in Taiwan, meanwhile, for a 3-day visit. The lawmakers expected to meet with Taiwan's president today. Lieutenant Colonel, your reaction to all of this? You know, we heard that the administration was going to come up with some limitations in terms of selling to China months ago, and that never materialized. Is this for real, you think?
Well, we'll have to see. Yeah, just checking on your question first there. Without question, this has exposed Putin to problems internally, because this has been festering really since February, this whole issue with Prigozhin. And there was some big red flags that Putin did nothing to solve, either at the Minister of Defense level or within Prigozhin, until it blew up. And he's taken a lot of heat of why was he inactive this long, and why did it take Lukashenko to defuse it before it turned into something really ugly in there. On the other hand, or on the other point there with China, look, we have to do something to diversify, especially the whole chip making issue, because in the event of war between China and Taiwan, whether we get involved or not, is going to have probably catastrophic in near-term impact on the global issue with all the technology that's coming out of there. And we are way behind the curve on getting that stuff diversified, and so that we aren't so vulnerable to an attack going on there. Anything moving in that direction, I'm certainly all for.
We will see if Mike Rogers gets the same treatment that we saw Michael McCall get, Todd Pyro. When he went to Taiwan, China sent an armada of ships and surrounded the island for some nice intimidation there.
My worry about this, Maria and General, is this our response to AI? Like, is this the extent of what we're going to do? Because you have the people that actually are big into AI saying we need to be regulated. We need to make sure that this doesn't go too far, and that includes figuring out a way to deal with China. I'm worried. Sorry, I raised your rank there, Lieutenant Colonel, to General. I apologize there. But is this the extent of how far we're going to go, just playing with the chips? Because it seems like there should be more.
Well, there certainly does need to be. There absolutely needs to be a more comprehensive and coordinated effort, because you have issues of economy, national security, and just the AI in itself. And absolutely, this stuff has all kinds of potential to go wrong sideways and cause problems across the board. And it needs to be regulated in an intelligent way, but it has to be part of a coordinated effort, diplomatically, economically, and militarily, so that our interests are improved across the board. And that's really, I think, one of my biggest problems that I have with all this is that things seem to be going in a disjointed measure that sometimes works together or sometimes works apart. And it doesn't seem to be under any coordination. I think we need to get a lot better handle on a coordinated strategy for our country in all of these areas together.
For sure. Colonel, it's great to talk with you this morning. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Maria. Always appreciate being here.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis.